I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster, and this is LD and the MC.
Well, as you just heard the legendary Bob Cobb say, this is LD
and the MC.
Number 6. We made it. We survived Thanksgiving. You had your Canadian / American Thanksgiving, and I had Tennessee Thanksgiving, which involved being in the outdoors, hunting, and what did the Canadian / American Thanksgiving consist of, MC?
Food and football. I mean, it was very American. I mean, I watched football, I ate food, and then I watched some more football and ate some more food, and I mean, it was good time. We always celebrate American Thanksgiving just because, I mean, I work with so many American people and my family likes turkey, like I told you. But this year was cool just because we didn't get Thanksgiving. So, I totally embraced it. I shut the phone off and hung out with the family, had a campfire, and, did what we do around here to enjoy the weekend. I didn't shoot as many things as you did in your house, but I'm in Canada.
Well, we are stacking things up this year down here, and much to the chagrin of some mom's basement commenters at times. I have the vegans get after me some, the animal rights people, and I try not to post a lot of dead things on my Instagram out of respect for people that don't like that kind of stuff. But I'm a proud dad, and my son got a nice buck, so I had to share it. But I had some mom's basement moment. But not as good, Dave, as a comment I got over the weekend on an old video. So I have to start LDMC number 6 with this comment. And I told you I kept it from you because it's so good to me. This was all a response to a video. Probably, I guess this was a couple weeks ago on LBL I did. And the title is, for context, is Professional Bass Fishing Growing. That was the article. And this is, did you hear that, Dave? I got a phone call.
I did. I thought.
Did you hear that? Did it blow you out? And my phone's on do not
music. I thought we were about
no. And my phone is on do not disturb, so I'm very confused right now at what's going on. Do we want to start all over? I think we do.
No, I don't have time for this kind of bull crap.
We're keeping it going. Yes. We're keeping it going. And I'll tell you, do you know Justin Kimmel from the Bass University? Because that's who just called me and interrupted this fine podcast. So, Justin, I know you watch LBL. I know you watch LD and the MC. Stop calling me when we're recording. Well, my phone's on Do Not Disturb.
He made a very nice comment last week on my.
He did. He's the best. I love Justin. I love Justin. Justin's a good guy. But that was Justin that called, and Justin, you got your call ignored. Okay, back to this is really shaky ground, even for LD and the MC. Back to the topic at hand, MC, is professional bass fishing growing. This comment coming in from Dolphin Head 2112. I can only assume it's 2112. We'll say Dolphin Head 2112. So this is his response to this question: is professional bass fishing growing? I hope not. These guys are a traveling circus of miscreants that refuse to work a real job. I have more respect for a street hooker. They come to your town, sore lip your local fish, and release them all in the same spot. They also sight fish spawning females off their beds and ruin the eggs because it's all about that sack of fish and the dough, baby. They don't give two blanks if they ruin your local fishermen or not. This BS needs to end. From Dolphin Head 2112. I told you. I brought us back, baby. There we go.
I mean,
brought the show back.
You brought it somewhere. You definitely did. I mean, first of all, it is the world's oldest profession. Not professional angling, of course, prostitution, which he decided to compare pro fishing to, and it's not. I mean, at sponsorship time, it can feel like that a little bit. but not always. No, that is an angry person. I feel like somewhere in the world, a tournament angler hooked up with his special someone, and he's taking it out on all of us because, I mean, really too angry.
Dolphin Head, 2112. Dolphin Head, who, I mean, what if in this world of the mom's basement moments, what if Dolphin Head is a tournament angler himself and he's just speaking out because he doesn't catch them like he wants to or something, and he's using the name Dolphin Head 2112? I don't know. Maybe he's a Miami Dolphins fan. Maybe he's mad about that. I don't know. But I had to share that with you, my friend. The week after Thanksgiving, we're all grateful. We have good things going on. LD and the MC folks are enjoying it. We're enjoying it. And then I get comments like that. Had to share it.
It leaves me wondering, is Dolphin Head his name or just an activity that he's into? Freaky people in the world, LD.
Freaky people, baby. Where are we going next? We're going straight to hell if we don't change our ways, MC. So I think next on the list has got to be Bassmaster Opens. We talked about it last week. This is a huge week for a lot of anglers. And there's going to be, we're hopefully, and I say we, me, myself, and a lot of fans, going to get some answers on what this elite field is going to look like next year. You know, we saw Jason Christie made an announcement on his Instagram that he's coming back. He is back.
Christie was that, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah, we're going back. It's just
here's a trophy. Yeah.
Dude, Clint Eastwood doesn't walk into the bar and start yelling and screaming. He's just like, do you feel lucky?
Yeah.
Well, do you? I mean, he is freaking Clint Eastwood. But
he is, man. And he's Mr. Steal Your Girl sitting in the corner, like just drinking his whiskey, not saying a word, and all eyes are on him. But he made his announcement, so he's officially going back. We're yet to see that from Greg Hackney, but I mean, I would say obviously that's going to be the case. Not to steal his thunder. We hope he does it on LD and the MC. We'll see. But through this points race, we've seen some shakeups over the last couple tournaments, some people that looked like they were rock solid halfway through that made big decisions, big career decisions to come to Bass. A guy like Scott Martin left his career, been at FLW for years and years and years, goes to the Opens. Guys like Andrew Upshaw, Bradley Hallman, Todd Castledine, they were really, really vocal at Brian Latimer in leaving FLW to come to the elites, to try to qualify for the elites. Not working out from a point standings list-wise for these guys right now. My question to you is this. How will this all shake out after this week if some of these big, and these guys are big names in our sport, they're successful in their FLW Tour careers with Forest Wood Cup qualifications, with victories, a lot of career earnings, you know, some AAA level wins, that type thing. What's the play for Bass right here? You're my Bass go-to knowledge guy. There's a lot of people asking these questions. Are you, Dave Mercer, if you're Bass, are you letting these guys in? Are you sending this broad invite if they don't qualify per the criteria stated in the Opens rules?
All right, three things. First of all, the first thing is, before I even answer the question, Luke, I mean, how wrong is it that this is happening? Really, before I even give my opinion, I want to say how bad I feel for a lot of those guys because, I mean, I think I say it all the time about how much respect I have for tournament anglers and their commitment and everything they overcome. These guys made it. They were tour level anglers.
Yes.
They were at the stage of their career where it's time to fill the freezer with meat. You know what I mean? I'm not scratching and clawing trying to get in the door. I'm in the door and I'm taking part.
Things are cooking. Things are cooking. Yeah.
So to send them, to put them in a situation where they have to go back to the Opens is horrible. But that decision wasn't Bass's decision. You know what I mean? As a person, I feel horrible that they were put in that situation. I think it's wrong and it's a travesty of the sport. But there's two trains of thoughts. I mean, you look at the comments, I'm sure we're going to get a bunch here. You hear a lot of people who say, man, this is Bass's chance. Just open the coffers, let in about 20 of those guys, and nobody will even remember what happened the last few years. And that's the comments that I've heard from people.
I've seen them.
But man, as much as that seems like it makes sense, you are literally turning your back on everybody that stood by Bass, which at the time when everybody thought Bass was going under. I mean, every angler that gets into the Elite Series, it gets tougher for the guys that are already there. You know what I mean? And I don't want to make it easier on those guys, but I also don't think that anybody deserves a free pass more than those guys. I mean, those are the guys that put their name on the line, you know, when this all happened. You know what I mean? Those are the guys that stood by Bass, and it's it's a bad situation, man. But I just don't think that you can go any other direction than everybody. If you're here because you qualified. So to me, that's 12 guys a year from the Opens. And I think other than that, the only thing Bass can do is let a few people in through Legends exemptions. And I mean, as far as I know, the rule is 2 to 3 per season maximum. But that's going to take care of itself, because in a year from now, 2 years from now, you go to imagine you're going to have people we're going to start eliminating from the elites at the end of next year. So once we start eliminating from the elites, you're going to have some of those elite anglers getting eliminated that do fall under a Legends exemption. And as far as I know, the rule says current elites get precedence in that situation. So, I mean, realistically, the only way to get in the elites, in my opinion, is through the Opens. And I think it's the only fair way to do it. But I also know that it's not a fair situation. It's one of those situations when, you know, can I look at any name? You know what I mean? Like, let's pull a name out of a guy that's accomplished an incredible amount in this industry. Randy Blockett. I mean, how can Randy Blockett, like, really? How can Randy Blockett be in a situation where he has to qualify? But he is.
Fight for his career. Yeah.
But he is, and that's the situation. But it also isn't fair, just because I love Randy Blockett and I grew up, you know, watching him, and I really want him in the Elite Series. Should I turn my back on Kyle Monty? Should you know what I mean? Mike Huff, guys like that. Should I look at them and be like, yeah, well, you have to understand, Mike Huff, I know you almost won this year, but this is Randy Blockett. I mean, that's just not how it works. Exactly. It's competition, and kind of a tough deal, but I mean, I don't know what the right call to make is, but I know the call that I would make.
Well, I'm just going to name off some of these names. You mentioned Blockett. I mean, think about this. You got Bobby Lane fishing, you know, who's a BPT guy, but he's fishing all the Opens. Would he take that open door if he got an opportunity? If he qualified, it obviously gives him an option. You know, I don't know Bobby well enough to even be talking about that, but I'm saying you got him. He's a former champion, man, former elite champion, former FLW champion. He's one of the best anglers in the sport. He's fishing them. You've got Brian Latimer, who's got a big YouTube following, has won on the FLW tour. You obviously have Scott Martin.
Yeah, but if it goes on YouTube followings, why don't we just invite the Googans?
Absolutely.
I mean, throw John B in there, and the numbers would be nuts.
Absolutely. So I've seen that comment a lot, like, oh, you Bass has got to let Scott and Brian Latimer in because of their YouTube following. And my answer to that is not necessarily, because if you open that door, there are so many huge fishing YouTube channels. Well, just give everybody an invite. You have to, what Bass did 2 years ago, inviting the FLW guys after everything split, was unprecedented for the Elite Series. It was the most strict tournament trail. How you get in, when it's your time to go, you go. I mean, they were by the book, but we had the split. They got pillaged. You have no choice at that point. You have to get some anglers in there, because you didn't have enough coming from the Opens, obviously. So we got some FLW guys over, you know, FLW sent some guys over. And look, it was a great move. You had Canterbury win AOY. You got Clark Wendlandt winning AOY this year. These guys are legendary anglers. Now they're on that Elite Series stage. They got their chance. Matt Airy, Shane LaHue, Brandon, like all these guys, incredible. So it was the right move. It was questioned. to death. Was it right? Was it wrong? You know, I know there were some Bass guys, current Elite Series guys that weren't happy about that move.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you're saying, it's disrespectful to a guy like Mike Huff if you let somebody in, or a Lee Livesey or whatever, because they stood by you, right? So there were a lot of guys that were like, hey, what are we, chop liver? So, but I think for the greater good of what was going on, I think they all saw through that. So I think now, though, the elites are very competitive, great anglers. These guys that we quote didn't know. We've talked about this before, but just you didn't know, you're now getting to know. You're getting to know their angling strengths, their backstories, all the things that we love that create the drama, that create why we watch. So we're getting that now. So I say, you don't compromise it now. It is the toughest tournament trail to get on for a reason, and we got to stick to that in this sport. I think.
And I mean, for every one of those people you want to add, and I get it where the fans are coming from. When fans say, you know, man, I just want to see and I want to see that too. But part of the reason that the fans of this sport love it is because of everything that these guys have overcome to get here. So it's part of the tale, and it sucks for a lot of those guys that are, you know, I've heard people refer to it as the Opens purgatory.
Bass fishing purgatory, yeah, for sure.
It is.
It's a grind, man.
It's going to be tough. I mean, the amount of people that are trying to get through there. But, man, Bass never set this table. Let's be honest. I mean, the table was set. Everybody was eating Thanksgiving dinner. It was fine. But somebody came and flipped the table. And because of that table flipping, a lot of people are having to pick up the pieces of turkey and put them back on the plate. And some people may never get that plate back together, and others will end up with a plate that has over bountiful on it. But that's just how Thanksgiving works out. I don't know how that analogy came together, but it was
very smooth.
Definitely somewhat smooth.
That was a very good Canadian / American Thanksgiving. You brought it right back around, MC. I love it. So I had a very interesting, and I know you don't listen to anything I do. We had this conversation earlier. I'm costing you several followers on Instagram. Like,
people are unfollowing me at a rapid rate.
Your life is really taking a turn since you started hanging out with me virtually. Like,
I had no idea. I had no idea.
I come with some venom, brother. I'm sorry. So you guys, if you're not following,
45 minutes every week, folks, don't unfollow me.
So guys, if you unfollowed Dave, go back and follow him. I don't think that's the case though. But on Low Budget Live this week, I had a very interesting angler on, Miss Christine Fisher, who is out there tearing up the kayak scene, but she's a very passionate angler, and her goal, and it says so right there on her Instagram, is to redefine the stereotype that has been put in place about the female angler. So, to you, Mr. MC, why? Because I'm getting a lot of comments on this. And I want to ask you, because you've been around this a long time, just like I have, why have we never seen a female angler dominate in this sport or compete at the level that we have the men? Why?
Well, number one thing is dreadfully obvious. We are picking our topics with things that'll make people get charged up. And this is a topic that makes people get charged up because, I mean, if you really look at it, the female angler thing, especially with the Instagram deal. And I mean, before we get into that, I want to directly answer your question. Why haven't we? And I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. Honestly, why haven't we? And I think I have probably the least offensive and most mathematical and scientific thought through answer there is. It's plain and simple. There's just not enough ladies to fish. I mean, honestly, I look at it. If you look at it, why up till now? Why up till in the last 2 years until the Johnsons and Gussie, you know, really, and I mean, I mean, I shouldn't say up till the last 2 years, the last 5 years, they've kind of made an impact in tour level fishing. How come up till that point, there wasn't really a Canadian that made an impact? we had Hank Gibson who made the classic, but, he was kind of a fringe layer, made a classic, had a good year. Making the classic was a good year for Hank. He wasn't contending for Angler of the Year. He wasn't contending weekly for tournaments. How come we didn't see a Canadian? Well, it's the same reason we haven't seen a female angler, in my opinion, because there's less. I mean, if you take the amount of people in the state of Tennessee that fish tournaments, you know what I mean, at any level, and you compare it to the amount of people that do it in Canada, I mean, I guarantee you Tennessee is tenfold, if not 100-fold of the number. So statistically, there's going to be a lot more Tennessee anglers that make it to a tour level. If you get 1,000 people to try it, your percentages versus 100 people, your percentage is higher. And I think that's honestly the same thing with the female thing, because scientifically, if you look at a lot of it, there's scientists who will tell you that females should be better. You know what I mean? They should have better sense. They should have a lot of reasons that females should be better at fishing.
Live longer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. They can distract you real easy. I mean, how if it was like, if I was the male that was competing in like the LPGA, I could be like, hey, ladies. And they'd be like, whatever, screw you. But I mean, there's a lot of girls that could distract me. But what I'm saying is it's sheer numbers. It's numbers. There's not as many ladies that compete. So there is not as many, stand out of all the thousands of bass pros that you've met in your life fishing in Tennessee. How many of them are that top percentage? 2, 3, 5 of them, even in a state like Tennessee. So the lady numbers need to come up, and you'll get that. I mean, there will be a female phenom that comes to the top, and there's a bunch of them trying, obviously, but it's sheer numbers, in my opinion. Why do you think we don't have? Why have we never seen one?
So I think that now is the time, okay, because you've got a lot of really dedicated, true tournament anglers, and what I mean by that is in the past, and we still got a lot of this going on. I feel like some of the female anglers, the ones I've known in my experience, some. In the past, in particular, it was almost like a gimmick, right? It's a gimmick because somebody told them, hey, there's not any women doing this. You're pretty cute. Why don't you get out there and slap on a jersey and go to these tournaments? And in my experience, that's what we've seen a lot of over the years. And unfortunately, for the female anglers that take it very serious, like a Trey Zaldane, like Christine Fisher, Melinda Hayes, a lot of these women Christina Bradley, that are out there every open, grinding, fishing BFLs, fishing team trails. I mean, you look, even Randy Housewhite, Robin, dude, amazing angler. They cut their teeth fishing together. Randy and Robin Howe, it's crazy. He actually told that story to me not too long ago, and I was like, I never realized you guys were team tournament partners. It's crazy. But so for every woman that is an avid angler that loves it for all what I would call the right reasons, you have an enormous amount out there that are taking advantage of us as dumb guys that are like, wow, hey, thong bass, I'm in, and like, and they get sponsors from that. And it takes credibility, unfortunately, away from these diehard tournament anglers. That's my opinion. And I think as things progress and you kind of pull back that layer of BS now with social media the way it is, YouTube, like you're getting to see these ladies in action, freaking catching bass, how hard they work at it. We're going to see it. Like now's the time. And that's what I told Christine. It's a really exciting time for somebody with a daughter that loves, to be in the outdoors, to see somebody like her or a trait that's a role models that, you know what, if that's what you want to do, and you want to work hard and have a boat and get out there and mix it up, you can do that. And so I think, it's hard to put a time frame on it. I think we'll see a woman on the Elite Series. I really do. And I know Trade is absolutely burning the roads up in the opens, fishing every open. Her goal is to be the first woman, but I think there's a lot of younger women coming up that you see that are really serious about it.
Scott Martin's daughter.
Absolutely.
You are bred to be successful. That's somebody who has generational genes that catch fish.
Yes. Yeah. It's you have no choice but to catch bass in that family. Like you wake up in the morning thinking about treble hooks in bass faces. I mean, that's just part of being a Martin.
You're going one of two directions. You're either selling toothpaste or you're selling fishing lures. I mean, beautiful teeth, those Martins.
Beautiful hair products as well. Best hair in bass fishing.
Let me point this out though, too. To play devil's advocate, the ladies don't play in a fair playing field. In this way, if you think about it, they don't get an opportunity to develop properly. And what I mean is this: if you think about it, they come and they fish whatever tour they're fishing. I mean, the FLW's had different people fish at Basses over the years. It doesn't matter. But right away, everybody notices them because they're not the same.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So in some ways, that door opens a lot quicker. I mean, you always hear people in sales say, a pretty female can walk in and I mean, a lot of ladies admit that, and they've got somebody's attention.
Free range.
But they also better deliver in all those situations. You know what I mean? So they'll listen to you, but they also probably want you to, in some situations, impress them more than a male counterpart. So that's what I mean in tournaments. When you see some of these young anglers, some of the best anglers, I mean, Seth Feider was literally on the edge of quitting it all and just never being part of our sport. I mean, Chris Lane, the names go on and on and on about guys who have openly, Brent Chapman, who said that I was about to quit. And then they became an angler of the year, a classic champion, whatever, but they were allowed to fail. And what I mean is, if you really think about it, the ladies aren't allowed to fail. I mean, Trace Zaldane had to catch him at her first open. And when she didn't, and I love her, it's for me to say that when she didn't, there was a lot of people who quickly were like,
of course,
you didn't catch him.
Of course.
You know how many guys don't catch him for the first while? There's a whole... So, you know what I mean? When you look at it from both ends, and then there is totally the girls that wear the thongs and pose for the pictures and get a lot of likes. And my take on that, Luke, is my worlds don't need to intermingle. I mean, I may follow some people on Instagram that are glad. They don't have to have a rod and reel. I'm honest with my wife. I just say I follow her because, well, look at her.
Yeah, because boobs. I mean, we can say it on LD and the MC, but I'm with you. I don't need to mix that. I don't need to mix it. Like, I love bass fishing. I can see some dude with an 8-pounder. I don't need a lady in a bikini holding the same 8-pounder. I'm there for the fish. Yeah. Now, if she needs a bikini page, I'm here for it. I'll swipe up. Hit the little hearts. All right, guys, we need y'all to comment below on the first two topics in particular about the opens, because we forgot to mention that. We want your feedback, but on this very touchy subject, I feel like, with the female anglers, let us know. What do you think? Do you think we will see a female angler in the Classic in a major championship, or see a female angler dominate this sport? I feel like the potential is there now more than ever, and I think the MC does too.
And more than just a group of guys commenting on this. Let's get some ladies chiming in there. Honestly, and ladies,
we've got some ladies that listen
to become that.
Yes.
Why? Because there's sides of it that we never see. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that is the coolest thing about fishing. I mean, it's for everyone, and we will definitely see a female angler up there at the top very soon, and we'll definitely have pissed off somebody here in the last 10 minutes. So,
hey, I've got one more I'm going to throw out there. I got one more I'm going to throw out there to comment. If you are a female listening to this, tell us what you feel holds you back as a female angler. Right? I think that is, is it the way you're perceived? Like Dave said, you can't fail. You got to catch them right out of the giddy. Is that what it is? Like, talk to us. I think that would be a very good discussion to have. kind of like this next discussion, Dave.
Before we move on, I want to tell you the best female angler story ever. Okay, let's get in trouble. All right, so I show up at an FLW event. I was not even competing in the event. My buddy, his boat broke down. And I drove all night, to get this boat to him. And the event was on Lake Champlain, and it was a big deal for him to be down there. So I drive down there, and I'm out front of, the takeoff, waiting for my buddy with this boat. And there was a fog delay that day. There was it was rough water. It was they ended up canceling the day, but it was a big, that hour where everyone's like, will they cancel? Won't they cancel? And anglers all stand around like meteorologists. Somehow I end up with this nice lady. I believe her name was Judy Israel. She fished.
Snooty Judy, by the way, as she was known on the FLW tour.
I did not know that because I didn't even know who Judy was. But I made the cardinal sin. Now, Judy won several FLW.
Yeah, on the co-angler side. Yeah.
Co-angler side.
Yeah.
Well, dude, in Canada, at the time, I'll be honest with you, all the draw tournaments that we fish in Canada are pro-ams, right? So you actually fish as a team. So you get accustomed to calling the person in the back of the boat an am. So me and Judy are talking, and unbeknownst to myself, I said, are you an am or a pro? And she looked at me, and dude, I have never been lambasted like that by somebody I didn't even know. I am a professional co-angler. Like, it was the most.
She developed that term. Snooty Judy brought the thunder to professional co-anglers everywhere. She did.
I do not use amateur anymore around anybody because I learned my lesson.
So she had an FLW sponsor deal back in the Lando Lakes boat days. She had a deal as a co-angler, the truck wrap, the boat wrap, the whole nine as a co-angler. And there were lots of things about Judy that people like to talk about, but she always seemed to get really good draws. Had a lot of tournaments as well. There are allegedly from friends of mine at the time that fished FLW, there was not a lot of Judy love. That's amazing to me that the MC meets the professional co-angler on the dock.
I find it amazing that I told that story and somehow we got to the end and I said the least offensive stuff about Judy. But you know what offends me, Luke?
Losing followers on Instagram?
That?
Okay.
Plus bad lures. We're going to talk about lures.
Yes, let's talk about some lures there, guy. Let's get into it.
Some lures and the worst lures. I mean, everybody talks about the best lures.
Offensive.
The worst. So this was your topic and you threw it at me. You said, well, let's talk worst lures. And I mean, I really thought about it. And there's a lot of lures that have not worked for me, but that does not make them bad lures. Sometimes it's the magician and sometimes it's the wand. But I'm going to go worst lure for me. Mighty Bite. I mean, the straight up Mighty Bite. It's a freaking piece of plastic. It's a plastic swim. The Mighty Bite. It tickles 5 cents. Small fast. They had spent an exorbitant amount of money on infomercials, but basically it's a lure with a bite out of it. If a fish did that to your bait, you wouldn't throw it anymore. You'd put it away. But the Mighty Bite. And I mean, to me, that is the world's worst lure off the top of my head. But there's been some bad ones. I mean,
devil's advocate on the Mighty Bite, though, it's still kind of a swim bait, so you could probably get a bite on it.
Well, I just think it's the worst. I mean, it's the biggest
marketing ploy.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I get that. But I don't know if you've ever seen, and I had to Google this to get this name because I wanted to make sure I got it right. And I know people will remember this. The hover lure was a lily pad. Follow along, kids. Okay. It was a lily pad with a little deal that held a dragonfly that hovered above, and the hook is in the dragonfly that hovers above the lily pad that you heave out there. And so it looks like a dragonfly hovering above lily pads.
Does the dragonfly touch the water at all? Or
No, it's suspended in the air above the fake lily pad, up to the side. The hover lure.
Cast the whole lily pad?
Yes, it's a lily pad about this big, a little deal going up here, little dragonfly. Real life. The hover lure. Yes.
Wow. I need to
the
look
hover
that
lure.
up.
Only, in my opinion, only to be outdone, or this close race for me. Second place, honorable mention, Chuck Woolery's Moto lure. Do you remember Chuck Woolery's Moto lure?
I got it, dude. I have it somewhere. I'm telling you.
It's like the teeth,
great.
The wind-up teeth. That's what it reminded me of. But you could probably catch a bass on that.
I'm sure you could. I mean, Chuck
probably
could catch a bass. I mean, he's Love Connection back in 2 and 2. I mean, back with
Chuck
Tim
Woolery.
too. He's Chuck Woolery. He's really good friends with Robbie Floyd. Allegedly, Robbie Floyd says he's
really
Chuck Woolery. They know each other through some. I mean, Robbie knows a lot of people, but
he does.
Chuck Woolery loves fishing. I've seen him at iCast a few times. And yeah, Chuck Woolery's a big listener of our show, I believe. So thanks a lot. You
Chuck,
just lost me another follower.
Chuck, we want to say we're sorry that the Moto lure didn't work out. And we hope that it didn't. You didn't invest all of your Love Connection money in that project. Guys, comment. We want to know. Hit us up. Let us know what you think of the worst lure ever. And we know we miss some because when you get to Googling bad lures, there's a lot of them. And here's an interesting take, Dave, and I'll pose this to you before we shut her down for the week. What, in your opinion, and this is dangerous. We could go bait category. We don't have to say brand or anything like that, but not. So this is like bad, goofy, gimmicky ideas we're talking about with these, the lily pad thing. What, in your opinion, MC, the most overrated, maybe it just doesn't work for you. Like you said, doesn't work for you. Maybe it works for other people. Most overrated popular lure.
Oh,
the tricky one. God,
I'm trying to think of. I mean, stuff doesn't become popular unless it's good.
That's right.
For the most part,
maybe something that you're not taking with you, that it doesn't fit your style or something. I mean, I know you're a very versatile angler and you fish a lot of different bodies of water, but what's something that you're just like, I don't get it. I don't catch them on this, or, you guys can have that.
I'm trying to think, because honestly, that's one of those things that, I mean, I've had baits like that you do have to mess with. You know what I mean? I remember the first time I used a spy bait. I mean, everybody was, the spy bait, and I threw it out.
That is mine. Throw them in the trash. Throw it. I'm here that we live in a cancel culture. I am here to cancel spy baiting forever. Throw them in the trash. Nobody needs them.
But you're wrong. Because that's one of those baits.
Once
you realize where to use it and when to use it, I mean, it is awesome and the fish inhale it, but it is one of those baits that's a little different, but there's a lot of those baits that have come and, but I'm trying to think of they don't get popular. They don't get good unless, there's been some stuff that's come and gone,
That's
what I
right.
mean? But I mean, as far as a real hit bait, most of the time when you can't catch them on it, it's angler error. You know what I mean? Like for a long time, I
agree.
The Alabama rig is no good. You know what I mean? Like if you go some places, there's times you can throw it.
Doesn't matter.
But that's a bait where it had so much hype. I think honestly, it's the hype has it has to come at the right level. Like the Alabama rig, it had so much hype that even when you went and didn't catch them on it one day, you were focused on, I'm going to figure out how to use this, because it's like a jig. A lot of people suffer with a jig, early in their angling, but it's got a lot of hype around it. So you'll stick with it. It's macho enough where, so I don't know. I didn't answer your question, but I mean, I think a lot of times when it's a hit bait, if it doesn't get success, it's because you're doing something wrong.
Spy baits,
they're awesome. I'm telling you, my man David from Duo will stop.
Change my mind, David.
Okay, you change his mind, and he will. I mean,
change my mind.
Changer.
So, last but certainly not least, we're gonna have to bring this up. I feel like it has to be said in all this lure talk. We lost a legend in the sport of bass fishing, a great lure designer. He is the man behind a lot of great Strike King designs that worked really closely with Brower and Van Dam and Hackney on a lot of designs over the years, and countless other guys on the Strike King. Zona. Phil Marks. We lost Phil Marks, a great Texas angler, great tournament fisherman, and great lure designer. But we wanted to say thoughts and prayers to his family. That is certainly a loss to this fishing industry. He lost a long battle with cancer, but some of those great lure designs, we'll think about, things like these big crankbaits, the 10XD, the 6XD. This guy designed it. Van Dam and some of these dudes knocked their lights out on for a long time, but definitely an instrumental guy in this sport that gone too soon, to say the least.
And you want to realize how good a guy he was. And I mean, he's a guy that I got to spend a little time with. I didn't really know him that well. But, man, you hear Zona and you hear Kevin and guys like that talk about him, and you just said it right. He designed some of the greatest lures, of modern times, and nobody's talking about that. Mm-mm. That's how special he was. You know what I mean? Where
that's right.
People will be like, man, he was an amazing lure designer. No, nobody's talking about that. He was an amazing lure designer, but more than that, he was an amazing person, an amazing part of this industry. So thoughts and prayers with his family and everybody that was lucky enough to have him as part of their life.
No doubt about that. We would like to say thank you to all of you that are keeping LD and the MC going. Our 6th episode. You even watched us during Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I got to say, it was probably better than that Tyson fight that we hyped so much.
You didn't like it?
I don't know, man. I was a little,
what were you
sleepy.
Expecting?
I was tired. I don't know. I just want Mike Tyson, man. I want him just.
Yeah.
Tyson.
I mean, that is Mike Tyson today.
I know.
But I will say, for a 54-year-old, I thought, I thought he was a lot more impressive than Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You take into account that it was 15 years since his fight and 2 years since, I think you could see one took it a lot more serious. I think it was all a bogus bullcrap thing, though, the draw at the end. And the whole reason they had to announce it on the runway was because it was, the California Athletic Commission said that you can't announce a winner. This is exhibition. So it was kind of bogus there. And I mean, Jake Paul was the star of the show. I mean, who saw that coming? I mean, we should probably talk about him, and a lot more people would listen to our podcast. But
the title of this episode will be Jake Paul. We're calling you out. Jake Paul rules them all. Well, you've got a gift, you said, for me. I see you reaching back there.
People seem to like the cowbell, but it's been a little weak at times. You know what I mean? It's a little party favor. It works.
Yeah.
So I decided to I don't even know if this show's ready for this kind of cowbell, but this is like legit. It might be too much. This is legit. We got legit cowbell now.
Well, on that note, this has been LD
and the MC.
And we'll see you for number 7 next week.